once she said that I was having contractions and that they were pretty regular, I think that I'm gonna have the baby today. What's up, guys? Welcome back to my channel. In today's video, I'm going to be sharing my birth story. Thank you so much for tuning in. I know that it's been a while since I've done an upload, but I wanted to share my birth story because I feel like I kind of just posted my anatomy scan and then I kind of went MIA, like I didn't do any more pregnancy updates. As of this video, I am 6 weeks postpartum. So my son is 6 weeks old and I finally have a little bit of time to put some makeup on, right? Put some makeup, take a shower, look presentable for the camera so that I could talk about my experience and share how his birthday was. The last place we left off was the anatomy scan. And after that, like the remainder of my pregnancy was pretty uneventful. I had a lot of the typical symptoms that a lot of women experience: shortness of breath, difficulty sleeping, everything is uncomfortable towards the end, ankles, legs started swelling probably like around 34 weeks. So I went through a lot of like the typical things, and there wasn't really anything that for me I felt like stood out at the end of my pregnancy that I'm like, oh, I gotta do a video and talk to you guys about it. Another reason that I stopped doing pregnancy updates is because towards the end of my pregnancy, I think starting at like 6 months, when I was 6 months pregnant, is when we started planning our baby shower and our wedding. We decided to combine both our baby shower and our wedding in one day. My husband and I had a lot of family and friends that were flying from all over the country, people traveling from different places, and we wanted to make the most out of our time with our family and friends. So instead of us having two separate events, we decided to have two separate events, but in one day. That way our family and friends could be present to celebrate both with us. Everything came together perfectly. We had a traditional church wedding. It was so beautiful. Like, I was so happy. It's like literally one of the happiest moments. It was so surreal that it was finally happening, and like just everything about our wedding was absolutely beautiful. I wore like a ball gown kind of dress. It was like a princess kind of feel that I was going for. I didn't want anything that was gonna be like constricting to my stomach at all. The day of the wedding and the baby shower, I had just turned 37 weeks, 9 months pregnant, and my belly was huge. And then after that, we had a royal themed baby shower. For that, I wanted to wear a more form-fitting dress that showed my bump. And it came together and it was lit. It was a vibe. It was so much fun. That took the bulk of, honestly, the third trimester. Planning those events, working full-time, running my business was definitely, it took all of my time, y'all. I had just turned 37 weeks the day of my wedding and baby shower. That night, I was sitting at my dining table with one of my best friends. She and I were having some of my wedding cake. We were talking about how the day went. I felt this pain. I felt this sharp pain. It wasn't like a pain that I've ever felt before. I will say that. I kind of wrote it off and I went to sleep, and I'm like, you know what? Maybe I was doing too much. So let me just relax the remainder of my pregnancy and, you know, take things easy. Now that the wedding and the baby shower is over, now I can actually relax. So just to backtrack a little bit. So I got married and had the baby shower when I was 37 weeks. And I was scheduled for a C-section at 38 weeks and 3 days. I still had like a week and a half after the wedding to nest, to rest, do last minute things before my scheduled C-section. That night I felt that pain, and then it went away after I had water, so I completely just disregarded it. I was like, oh, it's probably Braxton Hicks, like, it's fine, I'm not actually in labor. A couple of days later, I started having the pains again, but it's like as soon as I would notice it, then it would go away. So I'm like, all right, whatever, it's not actual labor, I'm fine. So that Friday comes. So at that point, I'm 37 weeks and 5 days. C-section was supposed to be in a few days, but that Friday I had a routine appointment with my OB. I was gonna go to the appointment by myself. My mother-in-law actually called me that morning and she was like, hey, you have your appointment today? And I'm like, yeah. And she's like, oh, I'm gonna come with you. And I'm like, it's okay, you don't have to come. Like, they're not gonna do an ultrasound today. They're just gonna listen to the baby's heartbeat, and it's gonna be a very, very quick appointment. She's like, no, it's okay. Like, just pick me up on your way. I'll go with you. So I'm like, okay, cool. That morning, I worked a few hours. I grabbed my keys, my phone, and my wallet. I didn't even grab my purse that day because I thought the appointment was gonna just be in and out. I can come back home and lay down and rest. We get to the appointment and the doctor is like, okay, yeah, the heartbeat's good. Everything looks good. Your C-section is gonna be next week. Girl, so my mother-in-law, she's like, you're not gonna tell the doctor about your pains that you've been having. And I was like, I mean, it's not really, it comes and goes. It's not like anything crazy. My mom-in-law actually asked them if they could, check on the baby and just check on the baby a little bit more and just make sure that I wasn't in labor. Being that it was a Friday, we were going into the weekend. I live actually like an hour away from the nearest hospital that has a labor and delivery unit. So that was another concern of hers. The doctor was like, yeah, sure. Let's, put the fetal monitoring on her. Let's check you for like 15, 20 minutes and see what that looks like. I'm on the monitor for like 20 minutes. Then the doctor comes back in the room and she's like, yeah, so you're gonna have to go to the hospital. And I was like, why? And she was like, because you're basically in labor. Like, you're having contractions every 7 minutes. You've had 3 while you were on the monitor. Your blood pressure is elevated. I'm still telling myself, like, everything is fine. But once she said that I was having contractions like 5 to 7 minutes apart, I was just like, shit. I think that I'm gonna have the baby today. So I get to the hospital. They put me on the monitor again, monitoring me for like another 20, 30 minutes. And they confirmed what the doctor's office reported. I called my husband. He was at work at the time. And I'm like, hey, I need you to get to the hospital because we're having the baby today. They were great. They got me comfortable. They changed me into a gown and I was comfortable, and I just kind of waited for my husband to get there. So I'm there with my mom-in-law and just waiting for my husband to come. The doctor comes in and talks about the C-section, and I'm like, yeah, I'm pretty much ready, because at that point I was having the contractions. They were becoming more intense. They were becoming more frequent. It wasn't anything that I felt like I was screaming in pain. I know that some women, when they are in labor, that it's very painful and they're like screaming. I wasn't screaming at all. I wasn't crying. It was just uncomfortable. And then I would breathe through it. And by the time I would breathe through it, it would go away.
It looks crazy. Look at the belly. That belly looks crazy, yo. That's crazy.
He's trying to go down.
He's turning. He's trying to turn.
He's pushing down. Doctor actually told me that I have a very, very high pain tolerance because I had been in labor and I didn't even realize that I was in labor. Going into labor, thinking about my birthing experience when I was pregnant, the thing that I was most afraid of was getting the epidural, like getting the needle in my back. I had the epidural experience and I was scared about that because I'm a very jumpy person. Like, if you touch me, then I'm gonna jump. I react like I think anybody would naturally react. So I was scared about reacting and causing nerve damage, like messing up my back. But literally it was 2 pokes in my back. The first poke was, I believe, the lidocaine, and the second poke was the actual epidural that I didn't feel as much as the first poke. One thing that I will point out If you're watching this video and you're pregnant and you are going for a scheduled C-section, they do C-sections all the time. There was literally a lady, a mom, that was in the room next to me, and while I was waiting for my husband, they got her prepped and they did her C-section like within an hour. So I was able to hear them wheeling her off. They wheeled her back, and I heard the baby in the room with her. And then, boom, I was the next one. So this isn't something that they do like every now and then. Like, they're very experienced with this. So I just want to kind of give you some comfort with that. When I knew that I was going to have a C-section, I didn't do too much research, because once you start doing research, sometimes you find like these negative experiences, and I just was not in the mental capacity to absorb any of that. I did find like a couple of people on YouTube like that I watched their videos, and it just helped to know like, okay, this is somebody that went through infertility, there's somebody that went through fibroid surgery, and now they had a C-section, it was successful, they have their baby, everything is okay. Like, I just want to assure you that that is possible. Once I got the epidural, I immediately felt like my legs just became really, really heavy, which they said was normal. They started prepping me for the C-section. They put the drape up. My arms had to be apart from me and flat on the table. The entire time I couldn't have my arms on my chest or on my face or anywhere. They had to be right here. And after about, I don't even know how long it took my husband to come in the room, but he had on like the shower cap thing, the mask, the gown and everything. I only saw his eyes, and he was there. He held my hand, and they, within 10 minutes, like not even, probably like maybe 5 or 10 minutes, my baby was here. Like, it went really fast. I just felt like I was holding my breath. Ooh, I don't want to cry. I don't want to cry, but I felt like I was holding my breath the entire pregnancy until I heard my son crying. Once I heard that first cry, I just broke down. Like, I literally was bawling. I was so happy. I was so overjoyed. It was like this relief. When I heard him crying, I was just so thankful to God. I was like, God, thank you so much. Like, I just felt like I could finally breathe, and I could finally enjoy him and enjoy this chapter of my life. Pregnancy for me was it was such a beautiful experience. But when you've gone through multiple losses, when you've gone through years of infertility, and just all that I went through, pregnancy, it was beautiful and I enjoyed it, but I had a lot of anxiety that I had to work through and really like talk myself through and just ground myself a lot during my pregnancy. Like, yo, everything is okay. Everything, God didn't bring you this far to just leave you. And, I had to really talk myself and just love on the baby that I was growing, and not think about all the pain and all the trauma that I had gone through to get to like that point that I was at. So the first cry was very emotional for me. And then they brought him to me, and it's just an indescribable feeling to finally meet the baby that you carried for months, like for almost a year, So just such a surreal experience, y'all. Like, I can't even describe what it feels like to be a mother. It's just, it's everything that I expected, and also none of what I expected. Like, I just didn't know that I could love somebody so much. So yeah, that was like my birth story. I went in for an emergency C-section. Everything turned out great. I had a positive experience. I can't say anything went bad because nothing went bad. Everything was fine. That my doctors and my care team, um, that they really took care of me. Like every doctor that I have had throughout my pregnancy, for the most part, from the time that I found out I was pregnant through delivery and postpartum, they all had access to my records and my chart. And they all read my history and knew what I had gone through and knew what like the delicacy of my pregnancy was. So they all treated me with such most there was only one doctor that I had a negative experience with, but the rest of them treated me with such respect and just really took care of me. And I'm so thankful for that. The last thing that you want to experience being Black, right? Having had multiple losses in the past, having a complicated history, like medical history, the last thing you want is to have a doctor not pay attention to when you're saying I'm in pain or something is wrong, or not educating you properly. So I didn't have that experience, and I'm really thankful that I had a positive pregnancy and a positive birth experience, because my journey to getting pregnant was very difficult. But once I got pregnant, I think the most difficult parts of my pregnancy was my mind, like working through the thoughts that were going through my mind and just processing, like, it's okay to be happy right now. It's okay to enjoy your pregnancy. It's okay to feel joy. Like you don't always need to feel pain and trauma around this topic or this part of your life. That's my birth story, y'all. That's how my son got here. Yeah. So I hope you guys enjoyed this video, and I will see you in the next one. Love y'all so much, and I'll see you in the next video. Bye.